Hello everybody, welcome back to the Mama Brick channel. Now, for those that are new to this channel, here on this channel we like talking about real world use cases of digital currencies, but we also like looking at the news and the trends, VCs, metaverses, NFTs, DeFi, all that kind of stuff. We like looking at the evolution of the cryptocurrency space. So if you're into this kind of stuff, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. It's very helpful towards, and it's good motivation towards my continued research in this cryptosphere as I bring you this content. And if you've always been on this channel, I commend you for that, and I thank you for always interacting with this channel and liking and subscribing. So kudos guys. Today we want to review a couple of articles that I think you might want to know about. So the first thing I want to look at is Bitcoin. So this is TradingView. And I'm not exactly a TA guy, but if you look at the candles here, so you have different candles. For those that are new to technical analysis, I'm not technical analysis, but I've been in the crypto space for a long time. So this basic sort of intuitive knowledge I have about the charts. For example, green means obviously bulls buying in the market, and red usually signifies selling in the market. So essentially, if for example you see here the trend upwards of Bitcoin in terms of its price, you can see that this trend has been happening in anticipation of the Bitcoin ETF that happened first, which the company I think was ProShares. And then after the ETF, you see sort of a consolidation in the market, and you can see these candle wicks here. Even for example, you can see this green candle here. It's a long candle, but as you move on onto these charts, you can see this candle here when it almost stopped. You can see that the wicks are quite long. You can see that the bulls and the bears were actually kind of balanced. You can see the top kind of chipped off here, and you can see the bottom kind of chipped off. So as a buy, there was a sell, and then eventually the bears took over. But then you can see the candles kind of squeezing into themselves, which means there's sort of a balance right now within the bears and the bulls, which means that the markets could go either way. They could go flat, they could spike up, they could go down. Just depends on who the biggest how much the biggest whale is selling. And then we can see the crypto market as well. Of course, Bitcoin has consolidated. We see other cryptocurrencies consolidating, and you can see the graphs kind of mirroring the sentiment in the market. So the first article I want to talk about today is Kucoin. This is more in general to be mindful about exchanges and what they do, and also to increase our knowledge in exchanges and what they do, about exchanges and what they do, but also to acknowledge this person that wrote this article, who's Hammond XX, and this was on Reddit. I don't know if this was this person's first article, but they got 1.3 thousand karma just for pointing this, and they got rewarded gold. So this was pretty important. That usually happens in Reddit, in the community of Reddit. You get rewarded certain tokens if your comment is very useful to the community. So this was it. Kucoin is using Cloudflare to identify website access during big price movement to profit on liquidations. This is a very long article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically that gives the sentiment of this. So I used to design data centers. I became a full-time crypto trader, and I got very concerned when I saw them using tech I'm very familiar with to try and steal people's money via liquidations. So trading leverage is risky, but for a company to game the system with their data center design is just not okay. Below is a screenshot of Kucoin denying access to the website on peak times. So this guy writes this full article, or try to get into Kucoin, and they block the Reddit, trying to get into the private Reddit messaging, and then they block those sessions as well until eventually. And it's like companies do not know that the more you try to hide something, the more traction you build onto it. And you can see the likes on comments on this are actually growing. So the point I'm saying this, guys, pay attention to exchanges and also try to educate yourselves more. I'm going to put this particular Reddit post in the description of this video in case you want to learn more about the details of this kind of thing. So in our next article, we can see that Valkyrie Bitcoin futures linked ETF launches on NASDAQ, with shares prices dropping 3% in the first 4 hours. So while the price of Bitcoin rose above 63,000 during the launch of ProShares, which is the first launch, the first Bitcoin ETFs, the futures ETFs, Bitcoin Strategy ETF, it dipped under the price level today to hit the 61,000. That's the current price of Bitcoin. So basically, the second Bitcoin futures linked exchange traded fund in the United States began trading on NASDAQ, opening at a price of $25 per share. So according to NASDAQ digital asset manager Valkyrie's Bitcoin Strategy ETF, the second traded fund allowing US investors direct exposure to cryptocurrency futures opened at a price of $25. So guys, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but essentially I made a mistake in the beginning. I said the first one, yes, was ProShares. So Valkyrie Bitcoin futures becomes the second Bitcoin ETF futures ETFs being launched in the United States, being offered in the United States, and they were offered at $25 per share. So There's going to be more Bitcoin ETF news as we go on, so I'll just leave that one at that. If you want to understand better about what an exchange traded fund is, there's a lot of information out there, but these are futures. They're not dealing with physical real Bitcoin. They're dealing in the future price of Bitcoin. And this other article I found was pretty interesting. It's a Reddit post actually. Mike Novogratz in 1992, the debt GDP ratio was 42%. This is by Mike Novogratz. Now it's at 130%. The boomers have been in charge. It's time for all 70 and our politicians to move aside. You've been poor stewards of our country. Have some humility. Let the younger generations take a shot at leading. This is a bipartisan request, and you can see the proof of this. Mike Novogratz tweeted this. I think Mike Novogratz is the guy from, I'm not gonna guess it. I'm about to guess Andreessen Horowitz, but I'm probably wrong. It's probably another company. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on this one. But he's a big investor out there. Those that do not know him, that's what he said in one of his tweets, which is interesting, which is quite accurate. When you see the current laws that are being drafted, like the infrastructure bill and encompassing all that stuff, a better understanding of cryptocurrency and other innovations needs to be a way needs to be paved for that. Ideally, it should be done in a civil manner. So. The other thing about El Salvador in the news, El Salvador's gain on the dip is 8.6 million. So those that do not know, El Salvador has been buying the dip on Bitcoin. So this is sort of an analysis someone wrote down. So bringing the total value to 43 million of El Salvador. So this is equivalent to 51.8% of the country's gold reserve, 7.4% of the total remittances, or 1.3% of total reserve. The dip alone is worth $1.25 per capita, almost the same as an hour of mining of minimum wage. So what this means is that basically if they were to take all their profits and distribute them across the whole country, all the citizens of El Salvador, there will be a per capita income of about $1.25. That's pretty interesting. So to date, the country has bought Bitcoin several times on 7th of September, 8th of September, 20th of September, and total so far 700 BTC for $34 million. So they go on to talk about how this is has accumulated into a $43 million profit for El Salvador, and then goes on to making comparison about their gold reserves, about this is half of how much gold they have, and it will be certain percentages of their GDP. But of course, you can also check out the details when you go, for example, tradingeconomics.com. You can see El Salvador's tons of gold that they hold right now, which is about actually $71 million. But so the article said $83 million, but it's close. But in terms of the gold reserves, it was pinpoint on that. And then you can see here they had way more gold reserves before 2018, 2019, 4 billion. Then they reduced to what they currently have, the tonnage they have right now. And then you can convert to actually see the amount of money, which is about $71 million. So that's all Salvador news. They've made a good profit on their Bitcoin investment, and I hope things continue to go well. So in other news, Associated Press plans to launch Chainlink node to publish data. So this is a short article. I'm going to read it in its entirety because of how important it is. You learn about Associated Press. I want to clear out a few things, and then Chainlink as well. So the news agency added it would be open to shifting its approach based on the response from developers, as it kept a finger on the pulse of the blockchain economy. So listen to this. It's a well-written article. So the Associated Press news agency announced it would be launching its own Chainlink Oracle node to ensure any data from its US newspaper and broadcaster members would be cryptographically verified. So in an October 21st announcement, the Associated Press, or AP, said smart contract developers would have access to the agency's economic, sports, and race call data once the node was operational. So according to AP, it will be published data on-chain for developers to access and reference in any relevant applications, in addition to providing information on upcoming elections, serving artists, working with non-fungible tokens as well. So they want all this mainstream sort of stuff being publicly provided through their partnership with the general public and the community that's dealing in the crypto space. So Chainlink technology is the ideal way to provide smart contract developers anywhere in the world with direct on-demand access to AP's trusted economic, sports, and race call data, said AP Director of Blockchain and Data Licensing Dwayne Desaulniers. So working with Chainlink allows this information to be compatible with any blockchain. The AP said its primary reason for the shift to blockchain was trust, in that the on-chain data it provided would be a publicly accessible, safe and secure record of verified information. The news agency added it would be open to shifting its approach based on the response from developers, as it kept a finger on the pulse of the blockchain economy. So this last part was quite interesting. So this is not the news agency's first foray into blockchain technology. The AP or Associated Press, was reportedly interested in exploring ways to secure intellectual property rights, support ethical journalism, and track content usage when it partnered with blockchain-based journalism startup Civil in 2018. In addition, the AP published the results of contentious 2020 US presidential elections on the Ethereum and EOS blockchain. So what I wanted to clear out, their publishing on the EOS blockchain was actually in, those that do not know what Associated Press is, Associated Press should have started with this. The Associated Press is an American nonprofit news agency headquartered in New York City, founded in 1846. It operates as a cooperative, unincorporated association, and its members are US newspapers and broadcasters. So Chainlink, those that do not know, Chainlink is a decentralized blockchain oracle network built on Ethereum. The network is intended to be used to facilitate the transfer of tamper-proof data from off-chain sources to on-chain smart contracts. I've done quite a few videos about them. You can check them out. The interoperability standard is pretty cool. Actually, there's a very detailed video I made about Chainlink, which I think you might want to check out. I'll put it in the description to make it easy for you guys. So what I wanted to clear out, that partnership with the EOS blockchain was actually with a company, with a separate company building on the EOS blockchain, and that company is called Everpedia, and I've talked about them. They're essentially the blockchain's version of Wikipedia. So AP and Everpedia team up to publish US elections race calls on the blockchain. So this was the article about that. So that was to show that it was, even if it was published on EOS, but it was through Everpedia, which is now interoperable with other chains as well, like Ethereum and other ecosystems that are growing, because they want to be a part of the whole proof of stake thing. And they mainly chose EOS because of its no fee structure. And yeah, basically, it will be hard to run a Wikipedia type of environment if people have to trade, have so many very high transaction fees like $40, $60, $100 to complete a simple transaction. So in our last article, I thought this video was going to be ended right now, but this is pretty important. For example, if you look at the trends that have been in the crypto space, DeFi, NFTs, lending and borrowing, Metaverse is something else that's coming up. And this is a well-written article. It's about a particular Metaverse, but I want us to focus on the content within this article, because it's going to give us, such articles give us more insight on what we're trying to look at the trends in terms of where crypto is going. So this is written by Sarah Jensen. How cross-chain games are giving users the first look at a metaverse. Blockchain interoperability might just be becoming a reality, with cross-chain NFT games taking the lead. So society is headed towards a new form of digital ownership, with an economy and greater metaverse based on the blockchain. So the concept of a metaverse is typically depicted as actual and augmented reality based in a virtual world. So most recognize this concept since it's present in several fiction movies of dystopian futures like Ready Player One, Minority Report, and Avatar. So however, the concept has since quickly gained attraction from the technology industry, making it more viable than ever before. So the metaverse is seen by many as the natural evolution of what comes after what people are already doing on social media. Industry experts believe that people are already seeking new places to interact with each other, so collect virtual likes and gain recognition. Still, other individuals see the metaverse as an opportunity to live life in a more childlike way, in a setting free from the confines of today's social structures. So currently, no clear definition of a metaverse exists, although developers agree on several attributes as necessary. While many representations of the metaverse are heavily weighted towards games and entertainment, technology experts suggest that the metaverse concept must include a lot more than that. So other attributes deemed essential to include a fully fledged economy and unprecedented interoperability, so users can take avatars and goods from one place to another, no matter who is in charge of a particular section of the metaverse. So unfortunately, before the metaverse becomes a reality, there have been some questions about how much interoperability is required. So some believe that a metaverse would require a single operator, while others believe a heavily involved and decentralized platform would be necessary. So although some debate still exists here, one factor continues to ring true. The number of different blockchains has created a complicated ecosystem that will need to be addressed before the metaverse comes to life. So I'm not going to read this thing, but it's the other article that I'm going to put in the description if you want to read the whole thing. But basically, some of the issues they're talking about that are being addressed or that need to be addressed is isolated efforts. So for example, if you find users, developers, or whatever, people develop on different ecosystems when it comes to metaverses, when it comes to DeFi, if you want to move on to a different ecosystem, you have to learn what that ecosystem has built. But right now, the most popular web browser is the wallet is the MetaMask wallet, and you cannot transfer, for example, Ethereum, for example, the USDT ETH token. you can't transfer it to another platform like the Binance Smart Chain or Tron that supports the USDT token. To do that, you need to go to a centralized exchange, convert that using the market makers that are there, and then convert that to the required token, then move that token from the exchange to the wallet that you're using. So those are some of the problems that interoperability can solve. And we have a cross-chain interoperability and compatibility. Essentially, that's what it solves. When we look at isolated efforts, it's basically what I've been talking about, having to learn different ecosystems and infrastructures and how their products work over and over again. It can prove extremely cumbersome to new users. At least old users know how to navigate this sector and they're willing to put in that extra work. But if you want mainstream adoption, then you want to make it easy as easy as possible, especially the UI. It needs to be beautiful. It needs to be as easy to use as possible. So I'll post this link in the description if you want to get a deeper understanding of what they were trying to talk about. And I think the main focus they were focusing on this article here particularly was a platform called Evolution Land. Those that know, I look at Decentraland, which is one of the biggest virtual reality spaces or decentralized virtual reality metaverses out there in the crypto world. But this was in promotion. I think of this, which is Evolution Land. Essentially, if you open the website, there's I think a cookies thing that kind of opens up, and then you can go to start, and then you can look at their real estate, their tokens. Their token is called Ring, and you can play around with this ecosystem to get a feel of what the metaverse is. But I mostly mess around with Decentraland, because in Decentraland there's a lot of activity going there. There's Kraken, there's Binance, there's the Winklevoss strings. It's massive, and there's so much activity going on there. It's still building slowly, and as we speak, there's an event happening in Decentraland, which has brought so much traction. I think it's being promoted by Kraken and a few other players. So that's all I want to talk about in this video. We like looking at trends, at least to see where things are going. Right now, the most talk is about ETFs and the metaverse and how that's going to develop. I think whoever is going to capture the biggest market share of the metaverse, that's why you're seeing Facebook and all those people trying to get into that. Whoever is going to capture the biggest market share is going to be a true market leader when it comes to finance and other aspects of that get involved with people participating and meeting up in a metaverse. All right, guys, that's all I want to talk about today. If you like this kind of content, do not forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.